Roy Smith is our corn and soybean market analyst this week. Nebraska is expected to be the third largest grower of corn and fifth biggest producer of soybeans this harvest. The projected average corn yield of 181 bushels per acre is down 4 bushels from last year, but the record-setting 61 bushels per acre predicted in soybeans is 3 bushels higher. We'll learn more about supply and demand elements next Wednesday when the USDA releases its November crop report. We talked with Roy Wednesday afternoon about the dead cat bounce, basis movement, and harvest progress in his area of southeast Nebraska.
Right here in Cass County, the progress has been really good. Not record, I don't think, because we have had a few small rains, but pretty happy seeing those beans and that corn going down the road.
How does the yield look?
Yield is wonderful. It's just almost unbelievable. I hate to say how much it is for your people misinterpreting what I'm saying, but let's just say more than I've ever had before.
Let's start off in soybeans. Update me on the tracking of the dead cat bounce.
I start tracking the dead cat bounce middle of September. We had a major harvest low just a couple of days after that, 14th or 15th, somewhere in there. And then the market kind of came back up, rebounded, and really we thought that cat was asleep there for a while because for 2 months nothing happened. Little up and little down, up, little down. And then one day it seemed like the cat came to life, and we had a real nice run up for a very short period of time. From beginning to end was about 3 weeks. Here early part of this week where we saw then it sell off, and it's hard to say whether the dead cat bounce is going to continue or if it's all over with. But the one thing I know is it gave us an opportunity to sell cash soybeans at very favorable levels, and for that we are thankful.
Yeah, I'll ask you for a refresher, people that aren't familiar with your tracking of the dead cat bounce, your triggers of what you're looking for.
First of all, we look for a major low somewhere around harvest time, and like I said earlier, we got it earlier this year than normal. I look for 35 cents a bushel above that harvest low. I prefer to see 50 cents a bushel, and on occasion we'll see $1 a bushel. That occasion doesn't come very often, and it didn't quite make it this year. As I calculated from the Midwest co-op bid sheets, it looked like the bounce amounted to about 85 cents. And it was long, and it lasted long enough for people to pull the trigger if they were ready to sell. And in fact, I did get my beans sold in that $9 cash area. It wasn't quite, I didn't quite get the top, but I got close enough to the top I could smell it almost.
What does the historical chart say will happen with soybeans for the rest of the year?
The long-term charts, as you look at them coming into the next year, and especially if you go up into March, April, and May, you see from now on, from a gradual uptrend, slow, easy. The problem with it is, as that happens, you're accumulating storage costs. And frankly, one of my targets for the dead cat bounce is I want to get the cash beans moved before there is storage subtracted. And these nice new elevators you see around the country, they're really working well for us with a big crop. But if you look at your bid sheet, you'll see how much that's costing you, because they don't come free.
We've talked a lot about soybeans. What are your thoughts on corn and how it's moved?
Corn has been really frustrating, and I have most of my corn still on hand, as you're well aware. It just goes up and down a little bit. Even the move that took soybean futures up and down by a factor of 60 or 70 cents a bushel might have gotten 10 cents or 15 cents out of the corn market, but not much more than that. And you know, my hope, and hope for lots of people, is that after the first of the year, after we get this harvest out of the way, that we'll see some life in the corn market. We certainly haven't had it up to this point to where farmers want to sell. We might get 4 or 5 cents, or extreme cases a dime. But that's about it.
Do you have any targets in place for corn, or is it just a wait and see game once you get to January?
I'll set the targets around the 1st of January. The corn's in the bin, it's dry, it's safe, and we can worry about something else for a couple of months. And so I don't necessarily set a target like that. I'll be looking at what the price of corn is around January 1st, and we'll set some targets out there to know when to move the corn.
Finally, a quick look at basis here as we close out.
Basis has been absolutely wild. There for a couple of months it did nothing. It looked like the basis didn't even exist, and then as harvest progressed and people saw how many beans are actually out there and what they're doing with them, we've seen basis moves overnight almost by a matter of a nick or a dime a bushel, a dime a bushel, and then it'll back off, and maybe a different elevator in a different location will have a different basis. And so it pays to watch the basis. Even though what you're selling is cash, the basis does relate to that, and it's very important.